Gideon, the mysterious mage. I thought now would be a good time to show you my Gideon build and guide because of the wonderful skins we now have for him, the amazing tier 3 and the devil Halloween skin. The way I like to build Gideon is with a lot of damage, a bit of health and a tiny bit of mana. This allows us to actually kill people, get quite a bit of value out of our ultimate and overall just enjoy Gideon's kit a lot more. I start with the Archmagus as my prime card, 2 cast tokens and a health potion. I have 4 here just in case I need 2 extra to curve my build out, but you could use a mana potion instead, or if you only have 2 cast tokens that is perfectly fine. Next I have my Staff of Adamant with 2 minor cast and a lesser health. I have my second Staff of Adamant with a lesser health, cast and major cast. My final Staff of Adamant is 3 minor casts. Now I know a lot of you might not have these many minor casts. If you have 2 minor casts and a lesser health, you are fine. We only keep one of the cheaper Staff of Adamant, so both are not necessary, but they do give you a better early power spike. Eldermage Amulet is my next item. Now I like to slot 3 greater healths into this, but I also have another major cast if I feel confident I don't need that much health. Magus ward is thrown in because wards save lives, and I feel like Gideon's mana pool is just a little too small, so I've thrown in a basic mana and advanced mana with a major cast. Usually I'll build the basic mana and major cast, but if I find I'm burning through my mana quite quickly, I'll build all my mana upgrades. Shadow Scrolls are my final cards. I have 3 major casts in the first with a major shock, and then 2 major shocks and 3 major casts in the second. If the enemy are building a lot of energy armor, then we can use the shocks. This ensures that our Q still does a load of damage. I just want to mention that Scarab Claws is also a decent pick. It might not be the best on Gideon, but it's probably better than none of your allies having the card, and it allows you to counter Muriel really well. Now you've got the build, let's take a look at the build order and then some gameplay. I always start with a health potion and double cast token. This allows me to last hit comfortably. I try not to use my abilities at the start because I want to focus on keeping the wave closer to my tower, and just using my auto attack to last hit is the best way. This is also the reason we don't need a mana potion. Next I'll take my Magus ward and then my cheaper Staff of Adamant. Now 9 times out of 10 I'll take the Staff of Adamant with 3 minor casts, but if you feel like you're getting ganked a lot and could use some early survivability, you can take the Staff of Adamant with 2 minor casts and a lesser health. I'll eventually get both Staff of Adamants one after the other, so the order isn't important. So you've got your 2 cheap Staff of Adamants. The choice is up to you here. You can either upgrade your Magus ward with some more mana, or you can build your 3rd Staff of Adamant. This really depends on the game. If I'm sitting in lane and farming, I can just get my 3rd Staff of Adamant because I'm really only using my basic attack to land last hits and my Cosmic Rift occasionally. But if I'm engaging in team fights often, I'll take some extra mana which will allow me to use my abilities more throughout a team fight, and Gideon definitely hurts early to mid game. You don't need to worry about fully upgrading your Magus ward. I didn't want to invest too many points into mana, and 6.5 energy damage as a fully upgraded bonus isn't huge when you can build a Shadow Scroll. You can take your Eldermage Amulet next if you find yourself taking a lot of damage, but I go for the Shadow Scroll for more damage. Depending on the enemy team, you want to prioritize some energy penetration as well as damage. After I finish my first Shadow Scroll, I max out my Magus ward and I can sell my health potion because I'm going to throw in another card. I personally like to throw in health at this point, so I get my Eldermage Amulet and max that out with 3 greater health. You could always get the Shadow Scroll first and then the Eldermage. The choice depends on you and your current situation. After maxing out my Eldermage, I sell one of my 6 cost Staff of Adamant, usually the one with more damage, just because the extra health always helps. I max out my Shadow Scroll and you're now sitting at 60 card points. The final build looks like this. We have our first Shadow Scroll with 3 major upgrades, either casts or shocks depending on what you need. We have our 9 cost Staff of Adamant, followed by our second Shadow Scroll, again with either major casts or major shocks depending on what the situation calls for. We have our second Staff of Adamant with a 3 minor upgrades, preferably you want to keep the one with the lesser health. Our next card is the Magus ward with mana and a major cast. Finally, our Eldermage Amulet with 3 greater health. With regards to your abilities, you of course want to focus your Cosmic Rift or Q ability. This is the ability I usually take first in case of early engagements, but I rarely use it to clear the wave unless I have to push it. You want to use your basic attack to land as many last hits as possible and keep your wave under your tower so you can farm in safety. I'll then unlock my teleport at level 2 with my slow at level 3 and focus my Q and teleport from then on. I personally like to play Gideon in the middle lane because it presents me with a lot of opportunities to help my team. I can rotate to help them with black buff, I can assist my allies in the red lane, or I can come in for a gank on the blue lane, which is exactly what I do. I think once you hit level 5 you need to push your way towards the enemy tower, essentially buying yourself some time and then rotate to look for a potential pick or even a tower, and as you can see we end up getting both. Being in middle lane also means that you should have good map awareness. You have the quickest travel time to both lanes and you should use this to your advantage as long as it won't cost you too much. Grux is in a bit of trouble in our jungle as Rampage decides to engage him. I head over to help him out. Our Narbash also spotted the rotation from Rampage and rotates from the right lane to help us, which is great map awareness. We are able to kill Iggy and Rampage escapes with a slither of health, but thanks to the rotation from Narbash and myself we turned an unfavorable situation into one that proved quite profitable, and this is the difference between good players and great players. Again, this time Grux is invading the enemy jungle and he catches Iggy. I rotate over to help him out and together we secure the kill. I'm emphasizing this point because I see far too many people just sit in mid lane and farm while the allies are getting destroyed in the jungle right next to them. When it comes to Gideon's ult, this is a very tricky one. You want to maximize your damage and the targets in your ult, but you want to do this while the enemy has no CC. What I like to do is use my ultimate by just jumping on carries like Sparrow. I'll do the same to Twin Blast, but I'll try and bait his dash before I ult to ensure he can't escape. Most carries will also pick up Blink, so you want to try and use your ult when this is up or before they purchase the card. Generally, just jumping onto an ADC with your ult and a bit of follow up 9 out of 10 times will result in you taking them out. I want to point out something I see the majority of players do, but it's something quite simple. Often I'll see teams group up to push a tower. This is all well and good, but if you're giving the enemy a free tower it kind of defeats the purpose. Gideon does very little damage to the tower with auto attacks, and sure his wave clear is good, but with the other 3 allies here you don't really need to help them clear a wave, they can do it just fine. This is exactly why as soon as I see my teammates rotate over to me after clearing black, I head to the right lane. This means we can get a tower and deny the enemy one as well. Did we need 4 of us in mid? Nope. Sure, mid was my lane, but it made sense for me to cover right, and I see a lot of people just completely ignore this simple rotation and continue pushing with their allies for absolutely no reason. The emphasis in this video has been pretty much on rotations and map awareness. These are the things that I think most Gideon players suffer with. Sure, you can sit in your lane and farm, but you want to help your team by getting picks and pushing objectives. Managing your mana is also quite important. If there is no need to push the wave, there is no real need for you to use mana. Save it for when you need to push the wave quickly for a rotation or to apply pressure, because if you're constantly using your mana you'll find you have none when you really need it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Gideon build and guide. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Also, let me know what hero you'd like me to cover next. Until next time guys, peace.